And I'm a firm believer that nothing helps you get over a loss than time. You know, you can go out there, you can do therapy, you can do everything, but at the end of the day, for me, time was what worked the most.
Welcome into the Big Fight Breakdown here on ProBox TV. Download the ProBox TV app. Never fall behind in your boxing news. Well, it's a WBA featherweight title on the line. Nick Ball versus Ronny Rios. Ronny Rios, of course, an alum of ProBox TV, has appeared on our air. Very tough fighter in what might be his last title opportunity. Well, we were able to sit down with him. My first question, of course, how excited is he about this new opportunity?
I'm very excited. First and foremost, I also want to thank ProBox for giving me this opportunity. You guys give me another chance after my previous, obviously, couple fights. So thank you guys, and it just feels different, to be honest with you guys, because I'm in somebody else's backyard. It's not like it's my own backyard, and you got that pressure or from people, from like obviously your own fans and stuff like that. This is something different. And this is something new to me, which honestly I like. Man, this camp has been phenomenal. Not just with the sparring, everything, but just with the weight, everything overall has been great.
Yeah, Ronny, we got the chance to call your last fight, your return bout, and I remember Paulie and I were talking during the telecast, like, this guy's been out of the ring a long time, but he's busting off that ring rust quickly. You started fast in that fight. You looked phenomenal, by the way. And I've been talking to a lot of people in this sport about this fight in particular. That people are like, hey, Ronny's got a real shot in this fight. The way you guys match up, it's a very, very interesting fight. It's a very fan-friendly fight. Maybe just speak a little bit to the time off, coming back on ProBox, and where you see yourself going into this fight.
The time off, honestly, guys, was very, very crucial for me. Paul and I were just talking about this, about losses and stuff like that. And I'm a firm believer that nothing helps you get over a loss than time. You can go out there, you can do therapy, you can do everything, but at the end of the day, for me, time was what worked the most. There was time where I did retire. I had a full-time job. I have a family, and that was obviously boxing was not in my mind anymore. So time went by, and then I gained a little weight, more than a little bit of weight. As you guys know, after you're done fighting, you eat whatever you want, you can drink whatever you want. So I gained some weight, and I started going back to the gym because I saw a picture of myself, and I was like, damn, I gained some weight. So I started going back to the gym, and then I was like, man, I really miss it. I missed the sport. I missed the getting ready part. I missed everything. To be honest with you guys, like even prior to retiring, like I used to get more nervous for my interviews than I did for the fight, just because I don't know how I would look. I even missed that. And then I started training more often to lose the weight. And I told my wife, I was like, you know what, man? I was like, I miss fighting. I was like, not just the fighting part. I was like, I came close to winning the title. Not close, but I got the shot. And I was like, I don't just want to get there. I don't want to just say I got there. I want to say I actually did it. So she's like, well, then go back. So sure enough, I shed some rust off. I shed a lot of weight off. And my team put me through some vigorous workouts, long time, and now we're here.
That's the thing, Ronny. I mean, you had one fight on ProBox after a couple of years layoff, and you're falling into a world title fight. That's the good thing about having built up a resume. When you have built up a resume and people already know you, just coming back, you don't have to come all the way back and build yourself back up, because people already know you. So as long as you come back and you look good, oh, that's Ronny Rios. It's funny because you get put into opponent situations like that. It happened to me in my career when I went to Ukraine for the WBA title. But at the same time, you got to be in it to win it. So you got to you're getting the opportunity to fight for a world championship after a good performance on ProBox. It's funny, your hunger in that fight really made the difference here in showing, not just going to get the victory, but also showing that you are back. Because we had Jared Hurd against Jason Rosario recently, and they both put up a little bit of a dud. You know what I mean? They were older. They're both ex-champions, but they didn't show that desire and hunger. And I don't know that result of that fight is going to translate into something. They also had come off of layoffs. You're coming off of a layoff, have a big win, and you're walking right into a world title fight. I think that says a lot about your mentality and the drive, because your performance, obviously, you needed that kind of performance in order to get that back. How do you basically stay hungry? Obviously, And I don't mean hungry that you gained weight between fights with that layoff, but what's the motivation now in order to, you know, what was the, because you couldn't possibly know you were going to walk into a world title fight so soon. What was the motivation? Were you ready to sort of build that back up?
Of course, of course. So the motivation was I have two kids now. You know, before I only had one. So I wanted to come back and I want to be able to tell my children, hey, you can do anything you put your mind to it. You know. So I was like, you know what? I was like, I gotta go back and winning the world title for me is obviously a dream come true, but it's just, you know, like I said, it's a dream come true. That's the most important thing. I can't tell my kids, oh, you know, if you put your mind to it, you can get whatever you want without going out there and trying to do it myself. So that was one of the biggest factors of me coming back to win this title. And like I said, I didn't come back just for the payday. I came back to win a world title, and now that opportunity is here.
Yeah, and you're a skill fighter, but they don't have to come find you. And Ball is the kind of guy you don't have to come find him. He comes to fight.
Yeah.
So stylistically, the fight ends up making sense, but a lot of it is because of that good performance you had on ProBox, man. So good stuff.
Of course, man. And you know what, man? Like I said, like I was telling you prior to starting the show, shout out to ProBox, man. You guys are putting fights of the year. You guys are doing something different, you know, and you guys are doing something very competitive with other markets. I'm glad to see myself, Angelo Leo, fighting against other people where, you know, we're obviously we're representing ProBox. Like, obviously, I want everybody to see that ProBox does have the firepower to come through
And
boxing
Ronnie,
too.
we gotta thank guys like you and Leo too, because you guys are living proof that if you come to ProBox and perform, there are rewards after it. You know, you
Yeah,
do
of
at
course.
big fights. You know, if you come to ProBox and don't perform, well, that's like not performing in any job, right? But
Yeah.
people are seeing now. You know, guys are seeing you. Guys are seeing Angel Leo. Guys are seeing a couple of others. You come to ProBox and perform, you get the opportunities.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I'll let my co-host ask you some other stuff.
Well, to break down this particular fight, Nick Ball, as Paulie just said, not a guy you have to find, but you have 18 more pro fights. You've been in the game longer. You're older. How do you make that experience a factor in the fight when you take on a young buck who doesn't know how to lose yet?
Well, there's a few things that we've been working on because, as Paulie and obviously every fighter out there knows, you can't just go into a big fight like this with one or two game plans. You got to have a backup plan too. So, you know, we're prepared to come forward. We're prepared to meet him in the middle of the ring. But I have seen a bunch of tape about him. So I've seen some stuff where I can do, or I can, you know, obviously try to do some other stuff. But at the end of the day, it's gonna come down to will. You know, obviously you can't let somebody like that just bull you around, especially because that's where he feels most comfortable. He likes to come forward and he likes to feel like he's in control. So that's one of the things that we have to offset.
Yeah, Ronnie, you guys have a mutual opponent in Ray Vargas. You lost a close fight with him. He won a close fight against him. You fought Akhmadaliev. You fought some really class fighters, and I'm not even arguably. You have way more experience than he does. How do you take that into this kind of fight? Even though you're going across the pond, even though you got to deal with those fans over there, which, listen, they are very vocal, they're loud, they're very respectful, but it's very fun to fight over there. I don't know if you ever fought over in Liverpool, over in England before, but it's quite the experience. But talk a little bit about your experience and how you can utilize that against a guy like Nick Ball.
Well, just the experience itself, because like you said, I have 18 more fights. I've seen a lot more different styles, and I know he's just gonna come forward. You know, I know he's gonna put the pressure on. He's gonna try and wear me down. So that's what we have to come into. That's what the experience comes into effect. You know, obviously, I already told my team, I was like, hey, we gotta be prepared for everything. If he clips us or, you know, whatever the case is, I was like, we have to be prepared for everything, for the crowd to be against us, which obviously you know it's gonna happen.
Yep.
But that's one of the things that I wish I would have been able to adapt in the past. Is just the mindset. The mindset has to be different. You know, it's not like you can train as hard as you want. Your weight can be good, which our weight has been freaking outstanding this whole camp. But it's on the mindset. You know, you have to be relaxed, and I think that's one of the most important parts in boxing is just being relaxed. You know, if you get clipped with a shot or, you know, I don't know, people start messing around with you, like the promoter, stuff like that, which I haven't experienced it, but we got to be prepared for everything, and we got to be relaxed, and we got to stick together heading into this fight.
Sorry, Ronnie, I was muted, but that's the thing about being relaxed and being prepared. Is now that experience sort of helps you do that. Going into enemy territory, so to speak, you know, where like the champ Chris said, you know, they're respectful, but they're very vocal. They're in my career, they're probably the most vociferous, loudest, most supportive crowd I've ever seen are the Brits. But it's fun. It's fun. It's
It is
not
fun.
Yeah.
you're not gonna wind up with beer bottles full of urine thrown at you. Like I can remember Junior Jones telling me when he fought Eric Morales in Tijuana, you know, like you're not
Oh,
you're not gonna have that. But so it's fun. But of course the crowd is looking for your blood. The crowd is looking for
yeah.
you to get beat. Obviously, how do you use your experience to deal with that? You know, I know I can remember Anthony Joshua talking about when he was mentioning about one of his fights. You know, it's just me and another man. I don't think about the crowd. I don't think about
Yeah.
anything else. You know, and how do you put your mindset into that place when the crowd is that loud, when the crowd is that emotionally involved? Because these people are very emotionally attached to the situation. It makes for a great crowd. It makes for a fun fight. But
Yeah.
at the same time, if you're the visitor, there are things to deal with.
I mean, for me, I'm just speaking from experience. It's kind of hard because, you know, even when I found my backyard and it got loud, it's kind of hard because I don't hear the crowd too much. I hear my coach, I hear my cornerman. So, you know, I don't know if this fight's gonna be different. I can't speak for say because I've never been in this situation. So I'll find out the day of. But all I know is that I have to listen to my corner and I have to stick to the game plan no matter what. Even if I can't hear them, obviously we've gone over the game plan. We've watched a lot of tape. So I got to stick to the game plan no matter what happens. Even if I can't hear them, I have to stick to it, man. I have to stay grounded, and I have to stay control of that fight.
And that applies to both sides. That applies to both if you have an advantage and you're at a disadvantage because the crowd goes up, the decibel level goes up either way. When punches are thrown and exchanges happen, whether it's in your favor or the other guy's favor, the crowd gets loud because that's an impact moment in the fight, you know. So for me personally, I loved it. I love, you know, you got to also be able to enjoy it, but at the same time keep your focus.
Champ,
Yeah,
I'm
for
glad
sure,
you
know.
said that, Paulie, about having fun because the crowds are fun. I fought over there. So, so Ronnie, I know you were saying like, oh, I got a second chance. You know, thanks to progress. I'm in this situation. I want to be a world champion. Remember to have fun too, though, because this is an experience, man. Going over there, those crowds are fantastic. Getting another title shot. A lot of eyes are going to be on you. It's going to be a very, very fun experience. So I know you've been around for a long time. And you're a veteran too, but gotta have some fun, even being the older guy on the block.
Of course, and you know we went over there for the press conference a couple weeks back. It was fun, man. I was just like, obviously the time change was a little bit off, but you know, I went to like I passed by where the Beatles first started playing before they became big.
Yep.
So all that stuff was mind blowing, you know, just because of the history and obviously the UK, they're a lot older than we are, so they have a lot more history. And that thing and history for some reason blows my mind. So just to know that I'm going back and to fight is it's exciting, man. I can't wait. I can't. We're less than a week and a half away, so we're ready. You know, mentally and obviously physically and physically.
Last question before I let you go, Ronnie. What would it mean at this point in your career, with all you've been through, the comeback, the time off, to be a world champion in someone else's backyard? What would that mean to you, man, at this point in your career?
That would mean a dream come true. You know, I would be able to tell my kids that they can put anything that they put their minds to it. And obviously, not just that, but this is something that I set out to do since I was 13. And 21 years later, I reached it. So this would be a dream come true, you know. And that's what we're looking for, man. That's why we put so much heart and dedication into this, so much sacrifice. A lot of the stuff that people don't see, everything has gone into this camp, man. This has been a phenomenal camp, not just in sparring, everything overall, but the weight too. I was 4 pounds away yesterday, so like I said, everything is into play right now.
Ronnie, thank you so much for joining us. We're so proud of what you've accomplished, man. Best of luck to you come October 5th, man. We'll be watching.
Thank you guys so much, man. Keep up the hard work, man. ProBox, you guys are really doing some phenomenal things. You guys already put some obviously potential fights of the year, so keep it up, guys. And Chris and obviously Paulie, you guys are living proof that there's more to boxing than just fighting in the ring. So my hat goes off to the both of you guys, man. You guys are doing very well for yourself, so keep it up.
Thank you, Ronnie. Thank you. Tell all your friends to watch us.
Of course, man. They was watching, man. They was watching. So me, myself included. So keep it up, guys.
Thanks a lot, Ronnie. Appreciate it, brother.
Thank you, guys. You guys have a nice day.
You too.
And we'll be doing a watch-along for this fight Saturday. That's right. Join us, watch the fight, listen to us talk about it here in studio. Nick Ball versus Ronny Rios. See the tail of the tape there. And it's an experience advantage for Ronny Rios. Can he make it enough of an advantage to win the fight? That is the question. To help me break it down in studio, Jimmy Smith alongside the champs, Chris Algieri, Paulie Malignaggi. Paulie, we call it the kiss of death behind the scenes, right? The happy to be here. Someone who's kind of content to be in a big fight rather than try to win a big fight. From what you heard there, Paulie, where is that line for him? You've talked about this many times. A lot of times a veteran can be just slick enough to stay in the fight, but they don't have the mentality to go out and win. From what Ronny said, what do you think his head is?
No, I think he's saying all the right things. His mentality seems to be where it's supposed to be. You know, he's still a guy who has things on his mind that he wants to accomplish that maybe he has not yet accomplished. And he seems hungry. He seems to be saying the right things.
When you look at Nick Ball, Chris, and maybe the nuts and bolts of this fight, Ball is one of those guys, 20 wins, 11 knockouts, not the hardest puncher in the world. Usually the young bucks have trouble. They go at a guy aggressively who's a veteran. They land the big punch. The guy's still there, and they kind of break mentally. Ball, not necessarily a knockout puncher. What do you think the key to the fight is mentally when it comes to that?
For Ball,
yeah,
it's intensity. He's got to bring that youthful vigor to the fight. You know, Ronny's 34 with these weight classes. It's a little long in the tooth. He hasn't been super active. He had one fight on our air, before this fight. So for Ball, I think he's got to attack early and attack often. That's what he does. I mean, I use the pun. He's a wrecking ball because the guy just comes and he brings it. And like you said, he's not a huge puncher, but he beats that drum. He beats that drum. He's an aggressive guy. He throws a lot of punches, put a lot of pressure on you. And he's got a couple different ways to win. If he's dogged in his approach, he'll take shots on the way in to get to where he wants to be. He wants to put his head on your chest and rip the body and the head. And he's a small target, man. He's 5'2". Like, he is really small for the weight class, but he utilizes it really well. He's deceptive in the way that he closes the gap and gets on the inside. I actually think this fight's going to be a lot of fun. You got two guys who can really bang, and Ronny likes to bang. He likes to be on the inside and let his hands go. We saw that on our air. He's done it with the best in the world. He's got another shot against Ball now. He's got the experience advantage, but in terms of what Ball needs to do, he needs to be himself, and he needs to get off to the right foot early on.
Don't forget a watch-along during the fight. Join us here at ProBox TV. Download the app now. Never miss out on your boxing news or your live fights. During the fight, we'll be in studio talking about it. Come join us. Paulie, a lot of times a fighter like Ball, when they come at somebody, they're unloading punches, and about round 5 or 6, they start going, all right, this guy's still here, and they kind of have to reevaluate. Is that the moment you're going to be looking for? If you're in Ronny Rios' corner, is it going to be that sixth round moment?
That's where you usually look to the veteran to see if he can still keep up the intensity. That's where you saw Joshua was able to he was lacking when it comes to that youth intensity that usually a younger guy brings to the table. And that's where we're going to be looking at here with Ball, because Rios is a guy who has been able to handle intensity earlier in his career. Let's see if he's able to handle it. And we'll be bringing it out. That's why you should watch us live. We don't have the fight. Watch the fight live, but turn us on and see our comments as well. Hang out with us.
We'll talk you all the way through it.
Yeah, we don't have the rights to the fight, so we won't have the fight on ProBox. But what we'll do, you'll see us watching it. You guys can watch it in your living room and just be able to ask us questions and stuff, right?
Listen to us talk about it and watch the fight. It's perfect for you.
That's the intensity. Also, you made a good point. It's like a wrecking ball. When your last name's Ball, you have a lot of possible nicknames here. Wrecking Ball. Wrecking could be your nickname.
Yeah.
To the wall, Ball to the wall.
Ball to the wall.
Ball. What about Z? Ball Z. Just Z could be your nickname.
So, you always bug me,
right?
Is guys whose names just lend themselves to good nicknames. Yeah. Remember Michael Second to None? I'm like, that's so easy. That's so easy.
I know. That's the best one.
We're stuck with names that don't really do that. But Chris, I got to ask you, tactically, when you look at this fight, man, I love it when you give me this face. We talk about a fight, Chris. Your face, right? This could be a tough one for Ball. Just becoming champion, kind of feeling himself, homecoming, all the pressure's on him. Ronny Rios said that. He goes, I'm going to hostile territory, but fighting at home comes with its own pressures as a young champion. What's your thought on it?
Especially as a new champion. Ball was another guy. He was close. He had that disputed draw against Vargas. Didn't get the title shot. Then he has to fight Ray Ford. And Ray Ford, another good nickname, Savage, because the kid's a savage. He's really, really good. He's a good boxer. He's got a good punch. He's got great endurance. Ball showed me a lot in that fight. He dug deep. He dug deep late. He was hurt at times. He had to go through hell to get there. He came on really late. I was really impressed with that performance because I've been very impressed with Ray. So that was a big win for me. And that kind of intensity is going to be really difficult for Ronny to deal with, especially for 12 rounds. Ronny needs to get that respect. And he's got like you said, champ, he's saying all the right things. This is my last chance. I understand what's on the line here. I got nothing to lose, basically, is what he's saying. I'm going to his backyard. He's the champion. He's got, to worry about tickets and his family and where they sit and all that stuff. That stuff's annoying as hell when you first are champion. So yeah, there's a lot of opportunities for both these men here, but really it's going to be who's going to really go for it and make their game plan work.
I'm just still thinking about the nicknames. Ford, Savage, Ford. If my last name's Ford, I'm going with Mustang because I'm a thoroughbred. Ford, Mustang.
Even thoroughbred.
Yeah.
Even thoroughbred's a good one.
That's a great one.
Mustang is like a thoroughbred.
Yeah.
Mustangs is a horse, no? So anyway, let me get back on point here.
He's focused on the names.
Yeah, you're focusing a lot on the names.
The Super Matias trap.
Yeah.
Right? You come in, homecoming, supposed to be your coming out party, your and Paul, you called it. You said, dude, when I saw him high-fiving people heading to the ring, I was like, this isn't good.
Yeah.
Similar kind of trap, maybe?
Well, yeah, because you kind of lose yourself in the whole thing. Listen, it works both ways.
Right.
I mean, if you're at home, there's distractions about all the other stuff. You can get brought into the party without realizing that you actually have to win the fight. Everybody else can party, but you still have to win a fight for the party to keep going. Otherwise, you're a party pooper because you lose the fight. But if you're on the road, there's also pressure as well. I mean, I'm not going to tell you that you'd rather fight on the road because that's not what I'm saying here, because I've also been on the road and you're worried about judges, you're worried about promoter tricks, you're worried about being robbed,
you're not
you're worried about
bed.
you're worried about you're not sleeping in your own bed, you're worried about
Time changes.
Time change, you're worried about the gloving issue, the head games when they're wrapping your hands and whatnot. If people are going to give you issues with that, they can basically go as they please. You got to worry about paint, as Martin found out this past weekend, right? So there's a lot of things, a lot of things. It goes both ways. There's issues on both sides. Fighting it brings pressure, but you know what? Pressure to perform can be good if you know how to handle it.
What about the physical advantage? You talk about it over and over again. Ball is 5'2". How does Ronny Rios make his size? He's not a huge lightweight, but make his size a factor in the fight. Bring that, as we said, physical pressure. Paul, you always talk about the mental side of physical pressure. Chris, how does he make that his advantage in the fight against a guy who's 5'2"?
Listen, he's got to be savvy. I don't think he's going to be able to go punch for punch with the younger guy, with Ball, because that's what Ball's game plan is. And not that Ronny can't fight on the inside. He fights very well on the inside, as I mentioned earlier. But if you have that height and size advantage, you have that experience advantage, you got to be the savvy vet, and you got to set traps. And I think there's opportunities for Ronny to put pressure, but also pull. A push-pull approach by Ronny, I think, can set some traps for that smaller guy to fall off balance and then look to counter. Because, again, I don't think he's going to be able to match intensity head-to-head or punch for punch.
When you look at a fight like this, when everything's kind of on Ball's side in terms of the numbers, how do guys like that, when they falter, how do they falter, Paulie? When you take it on the veteran guy who's had, once again, 18 more fights than you have, what mistakes do the young guys make that usually gets them in trouble in these situations?
If the younger guy gets into any mistakes against a veteran, it's because maybe he's too aggressive and the vet knows how to use that against them. Sometimes young guys are so intense, but they can be one-track minded, without lacking versatility, because they're kind of convinced that their method is going to work, and then when it doesn't work, there's not a lot to fall back on. You learn as you get older and you become a vet to kind of have different variations to your style and different ways to win, and also the adjustments you need to make. The traps you can fall into when you're the young guy and you're the champion is pretty much it's all gone your way at that point. So you don't really understand that there's, you got to become like an onion and sort of have the different layers that can be peeled away and they can still work. So, yeah, there's always that part of it as well.
Is there a pressure in this case, Chris? You're young, you're hungry, you're a new champion. Do you tend to want to overperform? If you're his coach, you're going, hey, win rounds, win minutes, win the fight. This idea that I'm at home, I got to do something. As Paulie said, the party's going on. I have to do something spectacular. Do you stay away from that mentality, especially against a tough veteran?
Well, yeah, it was something that was a pitfall for me during my career, and something that actually Andre Ward told Edgar Berlanga getting ready for the Andre Ward fight. Guys have a tendency, young guys, to overtrain. They do too much in the gym. They leave it in the gym. I think it's important for Ball not really to change all that much. Teddy, our famed trainer and colleague, always says, and he brings up that old quote that becoming champion makes a guy 30% better. Yeah, does it make him better just because he's working harder? Or no, it's a feeling. So you don't have to change up too much if you're Nick Ball. I think what the style that he has is very impressive, and the doggedness that he shows, the stubbornness that he shows. I think he's just got to take that experience that he learned in the Ray Ford fight and just bring it into here and do what he does. I mean, Nick Ball has got a very interesting style, and he uses that height disadvantage very, very well.
Well, when the fight goes on, we will be in studio talking about it. Put on the fight, mute the commentary, listen to us. We'll be discussing it here in studio. A little watch along. Also, October 9th. Don't forget, ProBox TV bringing you another great fight, another great main event, and the winner might be fighting for a title soon, because that's how it works here on ProBox TV. And we'll see you after the next big fight.
Wednesday Night Fights.
Dynamite action on Wednesday Night Fights every other Wednesday on your boxing channel.
Coming up on your next Wednesday Night Fights, October 9th. Chris, Primetime Colbert, and Omar Super Salcido step into the ring for what is sure to be a barn burner. Live from the ProBox Event Center in Plant City. Get your tickets at proboxtv.com or take your chances at the door. Wednesday Night Fights.
For more ProBox TV, scan the QR code on the screen or go to the App Store and Google Play. ProBox TV, your boxing channel.